The government need accommodation, they need properties, and loads of landlords, lots of housing providers, business owners are sitting on thousands if not millions of pounds that they could potentially be getting, but they have no idea this money even exists. The government are looking for people like yourselves. If you own properties, you've got access to properties, they need you. As you may already know, we help health and social care agencies to win contract with the government. A lot of these contracts involve supported living, meaning you're providing care and accommodation for vulnerable individuals, but it also essentially are contracts which simply just require you to provide accommodation. These could be any form of accommodation really, as long as it's habitable and people can actually live inside it. It could be self-contained units, flats, apartments, semi-detached houses, bungalows, hotels. There's no limits. HMOs, which can house multiple individuals within them, or families or singles, the list goes on. If your accommodation can provide shelter for individuals, then you can definitely, potentially begin working with the government. And when you're working with the government, as everyone knows, it's a lot more predictable, sustainable than working in the private sector, meaning if it's a buy-to-let, which obviously when a tenant stops paying you, you have no idea where they're going to pay, when they're going to pay you next. There's legal, there's court, which I hear countless of times from landlords. Or even if you go towards the Airbnb, for example, that's very seasonal. Winter months might be a lot lower, some months might be higher. You can't control all these things. So whereas all these other property strategies and gurus have their own biased or preference, let's use that word instead, none of them beats the guaranteed income from a contract with the government. They've already got billions, a pot full of billions ready to invest into the housing market, meaning invest into property business owners, landlords, estate agents, housing providers, whatever the category is, to invest into you guys, in order for you guys to provide the accommodation to them. Now, I say this very importantly because these contracts are often only seen by a certain small group, and not many people actually know they exist. So these, a few of these would be temporary accommodation, emergency accommodation, supported housing. Even if you go into a more regulated avenue such as supported accommodation, supported living, but again, let's keep the regulated part out of it and focus on the ones that are not regulated. Temporary accommodation, emergency accommodation, supported housing are three categories where you can potentially provide accommodation to the council for a guaranteed income. The way it typically works, to kind of summarize everything else holistically, you will give the council or the government, let's say, the accommodation, making sure again this accommodation is fit for purpose. So you've got detailed, your gas safety certificate is up to scratch, you've got your EPC, your EIC, all this main general keep of the property, so the maintenance, the repairs, making sure the property is in good working order, right? That's the easiest way to make sure I can define it for you. It needs to be obviously clean. Like I said, it needs to be habitable. Some councils may require to have it furnished, others might not be so, they might not be fussed about it. It can be unfurnished. It simply depends on the framework or the requirements of the council. But generally speaking, gas, electrical safety, the maintenance and the repairs, the boilers, the plumbing, everything needs to be in order within the property. Once you can provide that, you're already halfway there. And in exchange, the council are offering you an slightly exaggerated rent. So meaning it's going to be above market rate. So if you're getting £1,000 per month from the private market, the council will probably offer you a little bit more than that. Depending on what council, depending on what area, depending on what location, a lot of them will have a pricing ceiling or pricing range, let's say, for you to house the individuals. A lot of times this range depends on the number of people. So it might be singles. If it's individuals, that individual will have a pricing for that individual. If it's a family, that family, they'll pay you a certain amount for that family. If it's a couple, of two, for example, you get paid a certain amount for housing the couple as a whole. So it simply depends on what bracket the tenant falls under. Again, you're getting paid per individual, for example, per room, per night. As well as that, it's not just the rent or just the property they require from you. In many cases, you'll also be responsible for the repairs and the maintenance of the property. There will be additional services you'll need to provide, such as daily welfare checks, monthly auditing, making sure you go in there to make sure that the tenants are actually living in there, or the house is in order, there's no crisis or issues or safeguarding concerns within the property, and then reporting back to the council as well. So these, again, depending on how hands-on or how you manage the service, it can be very hands-off as well. But the point being, you're getting paid every single month once you have the contract with the government. So it's much more sustainable than any other property strategy out there as well. So again, these contracts are constantly being published, and the good thing about these is that a lot of them last for years. So you're not just getting a contract now for one tenant and then 3 months later tenant moves on and then you're done and you're going back again to bid for another contract. A lot of times these frameworks will be open for years, 10 years, 15 years even. Once you get on the framework and you're on the list, the housing provider list, meaning that you're one of the people that the council are going to be offering contracts to for individuals or the couples or the families, you're pretty much set, in a sense that now all you need to do is hone in for that area, for that council, to make sure you can continuously supply them with properties, supply them with accommodation and services as well. And then you've basically got a customer there, meaning the council are your customer for your business to begin to predictably grow and scale from there. So I'm a big fan of contracts from the government. If you have a property, you're running a property business, you need to leverage the government because they've already got millions, if not billions, of funding waiting for your business and other people in your business in general.